the panel to introduce themselves. Shall we start on my left?
Hello? Yes. Hi, my name is Pierre Far. I work at Google. I've been in Google just over a year now. My job at Google is to help you guys. So the team I'm on is a kind of two-way communication channel between webmasters and SEOs in the internal engineering teams for the organic web search side of things. So that's what I can really help you about with today. Yes, if you have questions, you'll find them in the forums, you'll see them in Hangouts, sometimes on Twitter, things like that. Sometimes I read your blogs.
I'm Dave Coplin from Microsoft. I work for Bing. I'm Director of Search for Bing. But basically, my job is about helping people understand what Bing's going to be when it grows up. So the whole direction and philosophy that Microsoft has for search and what we're doing. And I hang out on blogs and Twitter and things like that. And sometimes I work that too.
I'm Martin MacDonald. I'm currently Director of SEO Strategy for Expedia EAN. And for the last decade, pretty much, I've been trying to keep these guys on their toes.
I'm Rishi Lakhani. I'm nowhere near as glamorous as these three here. In fact, most people don't actually know what I do, but apparently know something about SEO. So I think that
it certainly does. So to kick things off, I'm going to fire off one question, but then it's over to you guys. So starting about the questions you'd like to ask these fellas. Here's a question that was fired over to me yesterday afternoon by the team I work with at FreshEgg, and this is it. It has been previously suggested that SEO is doomed, damned, dead, and in its infancy. How does the panel think that the SEO industry needs to evolve?
So, do you want to take this one first?
Yeah.
I have opinions on it.
Okay.
You've got one?
I've got opinions on it, but I'd love to hear what you say first.
I don't think SEO is ever going to die. It's going to evolve, it's going to change. I mean, think about how you used to do SEO 5 years ago, even 3 years ago. Think about how you did it 13 years ago. So maybe what SEO actually entails will change and evolve over time, and it does, but I don't think it will ever die. That's what I see.
Cool. Well, I would tend to agree, and it is very much in its infancy, which is borne out by the fact that we have conversations like this. Everyone's very open and so on and so forth, which is, it's a fantastic thing for any industry. But SEO won't ever die, but it will just continue evolving and developing the same way as it has done for the last 10 to 15 years. What we're going to end up with is a much more fractured view on SEO, where it's not just those first 10 links on Google and Bing, or other search engines. There's a wide choice available, apparently. DuckDuckGo, we should have that next year. So, and SEO will evolve into every other form of organic marketing that we can push. So if it's whether it be apps on the App Store, for instance, there's a ton of different things that SEO skills will evolve into. So yes.
I think the key thing to remember is what we're learning lately is SEO as a term is probably not the right term anymore to apply to what we do. There are some attempts at changing that kind of wording by several people. Whether it will change or not, God knows. But the fact is, we are an infant organisation because we don't have any formal qualifications, we don't have any formal standard practices, we don't have an ethics board, we don't have anyone who actually manages some sort of industry-wide learning exercises. You have a lot of businesses trying to teach you SEO, but realistically, are they or are they not? Are they teaching you how to put the right tag on? Are they teaching you about how to expand leads? It just depends. I mean, the thing is, until we become a formally and well-recognized industry as a whole, we're not going to still be a grown-up industry. So at the moment, although there are many agencies making millions of pounds, we're still not a formally recognized industry. And that's what we need to aim at if we want to become something that's not going to die.
I think there's a sense you've got to be careful what you wish for with that issue. I'll start with a confession, right? So, long hair beard, I used to be in enterprise IT. Okay, I left the sandals at home, but I came from a world where nobody else on the planet understood how computers worked or how you could connect them together. And for a while, we were like magicians. We were the alchemists. That's what you guys are with SEO. Nobody understands what you do. And there's power in that, there's profit in that for you guys. And it's going to change. The point you made is SEO is going to evolve way beyond what we think about in terms of websites today. And you need to be magicians, you need to be alchemists, you need to change, you need to think about how you can create, whether it's power and potential for your clients or really just understand the nuances of changes. What's the social graph when you start bringing that into search? And I think as long as you have that perspective that there are no rules here, there is no career path laid out for this stuff, but it's kind of up to you to be what you want to be as an industry. And I think you are recognised as an industry. And the very fact that, again, I come from an IT company. There's 1,000 people here today who care passionately about what they do every day. You wouldn't get, if this was an email conference, you wouldn't care that, let me tell you. So I think it's wonderful that the passion exists, and I think as long as you can keep that alive and change, as the technology changes, I think it will be absolutely fine.
Brilliant. It's reassuring to hear that we're not going to be out of work anytime soon.
So as long as the search engine exists, there's going to be both optimization and manipulation. Simple as.
Yeah, absolutely. Good news. So over to the floor then for the first question. What have we got?
I will come down this way. If you could pass the microphone on, that would be fantastic.
Fantastic.
Hi there. How are you? This question is with Pierre, actually. So we are we're getting lots of inquiries from people who own websites who have been de-indexed recently.
They have been?
Sorry?
De-indexed.
Right, so they've lost all their rankings because they think that there's a lot of bad links that they've built in the past, or maybe they work with a company that built a lot of bad links. It's very difficult actually to define the meaning of what a bad link is. So when you guys are sending out webmaster tools notifications to your users, I guess you've got two questions. First of all, could you help us broadly classify some of the indicators that might help us determine what actually makes for a bad link in the first place? And the other question I've got is, if we're filing re-inclusion requests to you guys and saying that, hey, we've identified these links, if we're telling you the types of links that we're finding that we think might be damaging, how are you handling that backstage? So are you taking that list and saying, well, hey, this webmaster's admitted that these links might be hurting them, so we're going to ignore those links, we're going to stop those links harming the site, or do they have to be removed? So if you can sort of talk us through the process and just help us clarify, that'd be awesome.
So the first thing I would say is, when people say de-index, that's the wrong word, because it's still in the index, it's just not ranking as well as it used to. So that's the first thing, it's not been de-indexed, and if it's been de-indexed genuinely, that's another problem that you need to be looking at, like why is that happening? Now, for these notifications, we've always dealt with spam both algorithmically and manually. And those notifications that we're sending are about the manual side of things. Okay? Now, when you get a message like that, what's a bad link when you get a message about the linking? It's explained in more detail in the help center, but basically, if you're doing link exchanges, if you're buying links, sometimes, there are lots of random linking schemes that, webmasters are very creative in figuring out to do that this is going to work and it doesn't. So these are the things that, that we're looking for. Is that a good rule of thumb is that link there genuinely because it's an editorial one, that the webmaster of that site genuinely thinks that your content is really that good and wants to link to you because it helps their users or not. So if you think about it from that perspective, that's your point of departure, you'll be able to tell whether that's a good link or a bad link. Okay? Now, for the consideration request, it's not a re-inclusion request, it's a consideration request. What we like to see is that a really good faith effort from webmasters to try to clean up their bad links. Okay? And we realize that I've heard of some websites that have like tens of thousands of really bad links. It's not going to happen that you're going to email 10,000 people and all of them will clean it up. It's just there are realistic, real-world issues here. So we want to see a good faith effort that to say listen, I found these 100 links. And they're bad. I've contacted these webmasters, these 50, 60, 100, if you're lucky, replied, they've removed them. These guys never got back to me, can you please take another look? And, depending on the situation and how severe, how severe the spam is, we'll take a look and work with that.
So after having contacted you, you might choose to ignore start ignoring the links that we've reported to you.
I'm not going to tell you exactly how it works from the back end, but just try to clean it up and tell us what you did. Be honest.
Well, it wasn't me.
There's a great re-inclusion request, because we have these instructions that say, tell us what you've done, right? And somebody actually replied with a list that says, dear Google, this is what I've done. 1, I fired my SEO. 2, he goes on to explain, how they cleaned up their links. But this was a funny way of communicating that, yes, I know what I've done wrong. It's a violation of the webmaster guidelines. This is what I tried to fix it out. This is what I got to. Can you please take another look?
And I'll leave you alone after one more question. Are there any metrics that we could refer to that might help us identify those poisonous links, those bad links, or are you just asking us to give it our best guess? Are there any numbers you can point us in the right direction of, or what?
I don't understand what you mean by numbers, but we do share some of the links, in webmaster tools. So I would use that as a first starting point. If you see something funny going on, but that, something funny going on, it could be there's a scraper, it could be something, it could be just, a bug on the server, that you have another website, somebody making to you, like a misconfiguration. We've seen lots of issues that are not genuine spam, just bad technical bugs or bad implementations. So start with that and see where it goes.
I think the one thing I have seen happening more often now than it used to in the past was if you send a reconsideration request and you generally are confused at what's going on, sometimes you get this spam team coming back to you saying, for example, check this, and this link, these are examples, and actually we'd like to see more of that. It's not very commonplace practice.
It depends on the situation.
Yeah.
It depends on the situation. Because, we try to be as helpful as possible without giving away the secret sauce. So if we think that the webmaster will benefit genuinely from having a sample, like 2 or 3, whatever.
Exactly. So 3 is the common number I see coming out.
It varies. Yeah. So it really depends on the situation. And if you're doing really, you're really trying hard, and you think a little bit of help will really get you to be in good standing, that's encouraging for us. We want you to build good websites that rank well. That's, people come to us because they want to find good websites. So if you're trying really hard to fix things up and move on, we might be able to help a little bit. That we want to do that extra bit of effort.
The other piece of advice I would give to most people who have maybe quite a few of these dodgy links in their back profiles, you probably won't be able to show all the emails to these guys, but what I suggest is normally pick up at least a good, decent volume of them, send screenshots of the emails sent, and if any replies, whether the webmaster refuses or it bounces back, do a screenshot and send that to them. Say, look, I have genuinely tried, but these guys are not responding. I'll continue trying, and give that a shot. I have seen a couple of people recover when we've given situation examples like that, where actually you've got screenshots or links to a spreadsheet, just go and link to your Google spreadsheet with all the links and what you've done, kind of thing. On average, the first ones I would start with are the ones that show up in the webmaster tools. All the links that show up in that webmaster tools, if you think there's anything that's very dodgy there, those are the ones I'll start with.
You guys know what a bad link is, okay? Let's not kid ourselves here. So, read the help center if you don't know, and anything that is, again, goes back to the editorial bit.
Yeah, but we might think they're good links. You think they're bad links.
Well, that's why it keeps going back to the editorial bit. It's is it a genuine link, that's coming?
I'm going to throw it to somebody wanting to interject down here, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so just Chief from Traffic Optimizer. So just to that point, in some industries, potentially don't want to name too many industries, but maybe poker or car insurance, very competitive industries where everyone's buying links. It's quite obvious. So what do you consider a good or bad link there?
So, again, buying links is definitely a no-no. It's against the webmaster guidelines. So if you see them and your competitors, report them. If they're doing something bad, you might take action. Okay? And likewise, if you're doing something bad, violating the webmaster guidelines, buying links, exchanging way too many, and somebody, submits a spam report with your website, you might take action. So that's how it works.
Would you penalise everyone in the top 10 then?
Well, the thing about the top 10 is that, remember, links is only one part of it. It's one signal that we use. It's, we use over 200 signals, right? So
it's a big one, right?
Sorry?
It's a big signal.
Well, what I was about to say is that, some websites rank despite what's going on. Okay, because there are, if you have like 199 signals that say, please rank this number one, but then you have a really bad one that says don't. At the end of the day, it's a balancing act. It's like, what does it say on aggregate? And if everybody is getting, like they have really bad links, if all the top 10 have, everybody's getting demoted, they're just basically ranking things, but
it's the same reason why you can't really de-index massive sites, right? Like BMW when they were doing clothing. You cannot use a search engine, cannot not serve the correct site. So if someone's searching for BMW, they want to see BMW's website, probably.
But again, it
really
depends.
Being that quote still not in the first place. Being that quote.
It's not a good example of it, is it? Who's going to visit Google for not ranking big? Does it rank in Google?
Being that quote.
No, but like when you say does it rank for big, it's like ranking, remember, there's a query and there's a user there, so there's like geography, there are other lots of things going on. Again, signals.
Yeah.
Okay? So if it's a navigation query that says, please show me the Facebook homepage,
Yeah, but pragmatically speaking, to this gentleman's point here, if you're in an industry, porn, poker, casino, anything like that, everyone else out there are buying large amounts of links.
I don't.
Apart from me as well. Apart from this. All of these guys down there are buying tons of links.
So what's the score?
Yeah, absolutely. We're just the white house.
We did not coordinate that.
I'll interject and say, because we are holistic inbound marketers here, not spammers, right?
Absolutely.
Anyway, has anyone got any questions not about link spam? Would be a nice place to start here. Cool, I will pass that.
Good.
Hi, I'm Emily Hill from Brighton SEO. My question is about on-site content, because that's what we're involved in. Our clients ask us every single day, what can we do to make sure our content is properly optimised for the search engines? So I'd like to take the opportunity to ask you what your answer to that question would be.
Yeah, so I'll start with social, right? That's the big new kid on the block for search, for us at least. And the advice on social, certainly when it comes to how you can deal with the client side, is just to be really bloody good at social. And what we see is the better the brand, the better the client is at social, so the more visible they are, the more engaged they are, the bigger the following, the better that they will rank. When we're starting to change the weighting of the signal, the social signal, and how we then serve the relevancy.
And what do you class as social?
For us, it's Twitter and Facebook.
Right, okay.
So, I take a little more abstract view about how
Google Plus?
Sorry? So, you joined now the score is So, for me, when I think about, what's a good website, what's a good optimized website, I actually start with two questions. What does the user want, and did they get it? Okay? Every single page that you have has to answer these questions. Okay? And you can see this, there are some widgets, that you can use on your website that to do a little survey, did you get what you want? Just do that. And if you start with that point of departure, you will actually everything will start falling through nicely. What does the title play when you think about it this way? What does social do when you start thinking about it this way? Which snippets? Are you doing? If you have duplicate content, how do you handle that? Which one do you want to choose as a canonical? Again, based on is this the best one to serve that user? And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. And this is how you think about it. So, if you think about it, it's all about content, and content is not just text on the page. It's about videos. It's about reviews, it's about, if it's an app, how they can interact with the app, it's a map, for example, they can zoom in, zoom out, think about real estate, for example, that's a good way. And these are the things is that, all of the decisions you make are actually answering these two questions. Who are my users? What do they want? And are they getting it? Am I giving it to them?
Are you saying that with the inclusion of rich media is a ranking factor?
It doesn't matter if it's
It does to everyone else here.
But that's the thing, this is my point.
It's an SEO conference.
I know, but this is exactly the whole thing about it. You know, like I was having this discussion last night, and you'll hear it many times from me. SEO is not a checklist. Okay? If we release all the 200 signals and things, you know, if you release them, this is not a checklist that says, oh, I need to do this, I need to get me some +1s and some Facebook likes, I need to do this. No, all of these signals will come naturally if you have good content to start with. Okay? What we're trying to do is... You might not believe it, but I see that we're doing.
But we see the opposite as well. We see really good content that doesn't perform.
Yeah. Wait, before you mentioned +1. It's not good to buy links. Can we buy +1s?
Again,
stop. Anyway, coming back to it. We see every single day people who've written some solid content, right? Yeah. Someone comes to the site saying, oh, this is actually pretty good. I will tweet it, I will share it. To me, that's a success story. But the fact is, someone else comes along to another site who basically rewritten the whole piece and thrown a few hundred links at it. Yeah.
But this gets into like different stuff. Like, you know, what does rewriting mean? You know, for example, if there's a big story breaking, are they rewriting, or are they like, you know, just using press release, or is it just like, for example, live blogging in conference? You know, there's only so many words you can use to like describe what's going on, especially if there are quotes or things like that. So I would take a step back and try to figure out what's going on. And again, remember, there's a, you know, you can, if you see somebody scraping and actually attacking you because of that, you know, we try hard not to make that happen.
Yeah, no, it's not about scraping, it's about actually physically just taking the content, rewriting it to a good spec. But realistically, it's not their original content, but what they've done is saying this is a good piece of information, rewrote it, and then thrown links at it. Well, so there is 2020 good content, yes, it will probably rank, especially now. I'm actually glad social signals playing to it, because it's harder to mess about with it.
You're on the links bag again, aren't you, Rishi?
No, I swear. And what I'm trying to say is the best example of good content, forgetting about search engines, right, is if someone hits your content, I think the question was purely about what is good content for search engines. Good content for search engines is something that can be read by them, is relevant to the query, right? But secondly, they do try and put some user signals in there, so especially now. So will someone read that piece of content and want to pass it along to someone else? Are you making it easy for them to do that? Right? I will give you an example. Martin Lewis's site, every time they try and rank for something, you should see how they phrase that content. It's unique. They have images, they have tips, and they keep expanding on it, they keep refreshing it. Don't just create a piece of content, let it sit on that page and never come back to it. Go back to it. Is it still relevant? Is it updated? Have you added the latest information? Have you added genuine resources? These things are going to play better and better over time. And the more people that share these resources, the better you can rank. I've seen pieces of content, for example, my robots text file, which has one link to it, but actually ranks for the word I've written a letter to Google from where? Twitter links, right? Because it got shared and said about 1,000 tweets, genuine tweets, right? There are no links to it. It's not linked to from my site. And that word, I wrote a letter to Google, does not appear anywhere on that file. Still ranks number 1 for it. Why? Because people put that on their tweets, right, their Facebook statuses, and actually it ranks for it. So it's about how well you do that share piece. Right? Over time, forget the link thing in the short run. Yes, we know they're important, but actually start saying how people are going to share that content is the biggest thing you want.
I think we
I'll move to a question on the microphone over there.
My favorite question to the Google people as of lately has been, what's the story with the really poor redesign of a bunch of products? Google Analytics included.
Sorry?
Google Analytics included, and probably first of all. Do you test the redesigns before you launch them?
Yes.
What do you test in those redesigns?
Okay.
What is the typical user of Google Analytics that you have in mind? It's probably definitely not someone with a bunch of sites in the same account. Because the new interface is totally unusable for someone with a lot of sites.
Okay.
So basically, that's the question.
So, yes, we do test, and thank you for your feedback. I'll pass it on. So, there are multiple things that are going on here. Is that, we serve webmasters with all numbers of sites. We serve novices, we serve advanced users, we serve agencies. These are many different types of people use our products, okay? And so, in my opinion, it would, something has to give, and something will be not optimal for each group of people, but we try to cover as many as we can. And we try hard, and if you have specific points of feedback, please tell us about them. Okay? If you say, if you say this is rubbish, that's not helpful, because that's not telling us, why it's broken. If you say that, listen, the menu on the left-hand side is really badly organized because this doesn't work, because if you do it this way, it's much better, that's much more actionable for us, and we can understand and we can take it forward from that. Okay? And it might give us ideas. If we hear a pattern of feedback, we will be more inclined to do something about it. Okay? So, I don't work on analytics, so I can't really help you there. I haven't used it in ages. So, I would suggest that you go to their forums and, just say, listen, this is not broken, And if you use screenshots that says, listen, this is my case, this is broken, it used to be better this way because 1, 2, 3, that's a much more better feedback than saying, this is broken, what are you doing?
Got another question over here. Ben Coulter from Torres. We hear about social signals, and we just sort of talked about what is a good link and a bad link. I think it'd be interesting to understand what is a good social signal and a bad social signal, given we see a lot of big, reputable brands buying Facebook likes through contests and incentives to share.
Yeah, for us, a good social signal, and Rishi, you know it, is one that is being shared, being pushed around. So actually, the quantity of followers or fans is but one signal, and we actually don't put overly a lot of weight on that. It's more about, I guess, how fluid the flow is, how much it's getting shared, the speed at which it's getting shared as well. All of those things are far more important than the quantity, so that kind of deals with the buying fans option.
Yeah, it goes back to, if it's that good, or if you're raising awareness about something, it could be a contest, it could be a new product that you're announcing and people love it, they're sharing it, it will happen naturally. It's whatever the signal is and how it was implemented and weighted, it's about it goes back to is it editorial? Do people want to do it on their own? And they do it on their own, as opposed to you're buying that signal, you're buying that link, or you're buying the actual social signal. So that's the difference here. It's
Can I just say, the example that you used there of buying likes and followers and whatever, people in circles for the sake of a prize, I don't see that as a bad thing, as long as the people are liking you for a reason. I'm not saying that you've got a poker affiliate site and you're giving away an iPad to people that have retweeted you. But if you've got a brand name and you've got product XYZ, and between your fans next month you're going to rapid relate 10 of them, I don't see that as being a problem. These are still people that engage with your brand anyway, because that was how they found you.
Exactly, and also the lovely thing about social is, so what? You bought a bunch of fans or followers, your problem only just begins, because having bought them, you've got to bloody keep them. And so social kind of, it answers itself, so if you buy them and then don't do anything with them, they're going to leave anyway, so that kind of cancels itself out of it.
And if you were thinking of buying them for whatever I've done any of the websites and so on, it's buy 5,000 Google Plus ones for $50 or whatever. A final. Well, I'll get closer to it. But, that stuff, yeah.
It's my job to research. It's my job to research. If I don't know what's bad, how am I supposed to know what's good?
It goes back to are you buying the signal, or are you raising awareness about that? If you make a big fuss about something like a new product and people are so crazy about it and they love it and they link to you, there's a difference between raising awareness like that and getting the links naturally versus saying, hey Rishi, here's what's your website? Here's $10. Here's $100. Yeah.
I've got sorry, that was very loud.
Hi, Tom Anthony from Distilled. My question's for Pierre and Dave. Pierre, when you introduced yourself, you said, my job is to help you guys, and then later on you were talking about good content, as you said, depending on the search query and the user found what they were looking for. Can you talk a little bit about how not giving us the search query anymore plays into that, not providing, and how that's then afterwards I'd like to hear from Dave about what Bing think about that and if they've got any plans to screw us too.
No, but I'm learning. Two things about this. And first, thinking that it wasn't the first question. The two things. One is that we do give you the queries, and it's in Webmaster Tools. Yes, you lose the session-specific queries, but you still get the queries. And actually, for most websites, that's actually a sufficient number of queries to actually cover the past 30 days. So
they never match. They never match.
They never match.
Sorry.
Zero.
It's not the stuff that's in Google Webmaster Tools. The query stuff that's in Webmaster Tools is just fantasy a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the sample size is so small, it's ridiculous.
I was once told I ran for insurance.
Sorry?
Well, yeah, for insurance.
You want insurance?
No, I was told I ran for insurance in Webmaster Tools. I never ran for insurance. Now in the top 2,000, I don't think.
So in my Webmaster Tools, and you're more than welcome to have a look at this, from my personal side, it says that I rank in 5th or 6th for the term Expedia. I do not, and have never ranked 5th or 6th for Expedia. It says I've had 11 hits of it, which might be right.
Maybe you should do inclusion in my rank for it.
Yeah, but like 1 million impressions, and it's just, it's why has it been removed from Analytics, which was correct data, and then put into Webmaster Tools, which is incorrect, or at least woolly data?
Oh, okay. So correct and incorrect is actually, I wouldn't say that's actually true.
Accurate and less accurate.
Well, there are different sources of data and there are different processing of data. And if you have done anything about data processing and statistics, you would know that you can get with two very different numbers depending on what happens. Okay?
Absolutely. But all I want to see are the search queries that refer to me from Google. That's all I want to see.
Okay.
And increasingly, like 45% of my traffic now.
There is a way around it. Bid on PPC and get all the keywords.
It's much harder, isn't it? Yeah. The whole point of SSL search, the whole point of like encrypted search is that it's protecting the user. Okay? And the user...
What possible privacy concerns are there with passing search queries to websites where the people have landed?
Well, because when we do queries with things like Search Plus Your World and more searches we're talking about, it's quite likely actually that the user will search for something personal. And this is why we encrypt it, is because, we don't want people, there are plugins you can download like Firesheet and things like that. Go to Starbucks, open that up, and you can really sniff on other people's traffic. And so we want to protect that. We're actually very concerned about the traffic protection of our users. Now, when it comes to ads, the user has a choice to make. Okay, and they know that their privacy is protected on those, but if they make a choice to go to an advertiser that's very clearly labeled in the search results, and they're making that choice. And yes, not all users are that informed, but it is clearly labeled as a sponsored link. And if you don't like all of that as a user, you have a choice to go to the encrypted.google.com, which will actually work on your browser's policy. And you can install a plugin that says, don't send any referrals or send whatever policy you have, from SSL to SSL websites or whatever.
I understand that, right? What I don't really understand is why would a personalized search, even if you're Google Plus, right? Someone searches, I still can't see my analytics that this person searched using a signed-in account and landing on my site using this query. There's no way to find that out from us. You guys can see it, we can't. Secondly, I'd actually really like to see some, this is not a dig, it's genuine, curiosity. What percentage of users of Google, of which I'm assuming are billions, right, actually know that the queries are hidden when they use the secure search? And what portion of them actually actively understand if you click on an organic result, your query is going to be screwed, but if you click on an ad result, it's not. They don't know that. And I can say that query 100 people, and all 100 will say they haven't a bloody clue what you're talking about.
But there's a different problem, okay? And believe me, when you take it from a searching perspective, and the nature of the searches are changing, the more they get social, and this is why we're preempting. I mean, to be honest, I think Google is at the forefront of this. We're protecting our users in terms of encrypting their traffic, encrypting their session that includes potentially private photos, private data, stuff shared with only their circles, non-publicly. So we want to encrypt that. That's the key point for
That's fine. I mean, encrypting all that's fine. I'm still wondering how you hiding the query from webmasters is protecting the user. I still don't get the logic.
Because the way the data, we try hard in webmaster tools, actually to not show you the personalized queries. It's more about in aggregate, and you see this this query has had this many impressions and this many clicks.
Surely the easier answer to that is just any traffic you get that's come through a personalised search plus your world result, you put that as the keyword, personalised.
Well, we're putting up
you're not removing 30% of the data.
I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but we're running out of time. I have a sense, I don't know why, but this could continue for some time. So, we've got time for one final question.
Let me just ask on that last one. Is there anybody here that doesn't believe that they've removed it after Pierre's protestations there? Is there anyone here that genuinely believes that they've done it because of privacy concerns for users? If there is, raise your hands. Anybody?
I'll buy you lunch.
One.
I'll just give us a minute, Kelvin, and we'll come back to you. But I think it's really easy to sort of be upset about this. The bit that I think we have to think about, and I don't think it's just Google at the forefront, we are all collectively, as a society, at the forefront of some really difficult questions about our privacy. And I'm not defending or supporting or even dissing what Google are doing. You just have to recognise these are genuinely difficult times. Let's pick on someone who isn't here. Let's pick on Facebook, right? So those guys all the time are pushing the boundary about what private and public means. And they're looking for us, as users, to tell them what that is. Google's in the same position, we're in the same position. And so debates like this are absolutely bloody crucial that we have that. Because we need to make sure we get the balance right. That's why we need to hear, hang on a minute.
I would prefer the debate to happen before the action is implemented.
And that's a great point, right? So just finishing on this cover, the point is that we all need to be engaged in this conversation. So long may it continue, not right now, but outside of this one, you all know where to find us.
I think we're getting a little bit off track here. I think the question on everybody's lips is Larry Page, Steve Barber, that stage, two sumo suits, last man standing. I want one name for each of you.
But you want to win?
I think it's choose your winner.
I'm going to pass on that.
I actually think they'd sit down and converse, and there would be a lot of love in that conversation.
I don't actually think they'll fight. They'll probably just compare back to backs.
Fantastic. Martin?
Yeah. It's a set of circumstances I can't really see happening, to be honest. But perhaps next time round.
I can see
if I look them,
you and Kelvin doing it. That would be fun.
Anyway, if I can have a huge round of applause for the panel here.